First thing first, Sam, how are you?
Good, mate. How are you?
I'm alright, thank you. We're here at Lowlands.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts so far on this festival?
So far, I've had a great experience because I've just been eating cheese toasties. So that was pretty good. And then I did a little session for you guys for 3FM. So that was great. So yeah, it was wicked.
Had you heard about this festival before?
Yes, I had, yeah. And everyone's been like, because we've done a lot of touring over the last kind of year, and everyone's been talking about, I'll see you at Lowlands. So here we are. I hope to see all the people that I said they would see. So yeah, should be good.
Do you have any expectations?
I have no idea, but I saw a roller coaster, so I got excited. I'm like, all right, okay, cool.
Well, before we get into the music you've been releasing lately, I'd like to jump back to the beginning a little bit. And you grew up in a musical family. Mm-hmm. What kind of music did your dad play at home?
My dad is a big Steely Dan fan. He loves Steely Dan and he loves soul music and like old rock and roll. So there was a lot of like everything from like 10cc to like the Kinks, the Beatles, to Donny Hathaway, to Sam and Dave, to Aretha Franklin, to all of that sort of like all the classic stuff. And then my brother as well played loads of stuff to us as well. So I got like that, and then I got all of the kind of the later, the more modern stuff. Modern at the time was like Britpop and Nirvana and grunge, and then all that sort of thing after that. So all the indie, all the noughties indie. So yeah.
Did you take to music immediately?
I think so, yeah. Apparently my dad remembers, because my dad used to play in bands, and he remembers me like in my pushchair when I was like 2 years old, in like a really loud room with no ear protection. Bad parents. That's why I'm partially deaf. That's a joke. I don't know. I think that one's bad. But yeah, and I was sat in that room watching my dad playing, and I was like apparently loving it and bouncing around and didn't complain about the noise. So I must have got into it pretty early. I think it's always been there.
Did he write his own songs?
So my dad?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Did he talk with you about that as you were starting to kind of?
He told me to become a teacher. Yeah, because he knew how hard it was, I think. And I think he just kind of wanted me to do well. So he kind of, there's sometimes one part of my life he's kind of convincing us to try and be a primary school headmaster or principal, because he says if you can play an instrument, you can play to the hymns to the kids and stuff. But yeah, I never wanted to do that, and I'm probably like, I'm not very I don't have a trade or anything like that. So yeah, no, I just carried on. I carried on playing guitar, and then I think he kind of took me seriously by the time I was about 15. He was like, all right, okay, this is what you're going to do then.
In your own mind then, what changed by the time you were 15?
I wasn't particularly brilliant at anything in school. I think I was a very kind of just middle of the road student, because I wasn't really interested by a lot of things. The only thing I liked was like Star Wars and art. Like, and I mean, when I say art, I don't mean that in a wanky way. I mean like I just like doodling on my planner. That's all I did really. So I think I lost interest in a lot of things, and I picked up guitar when I was young, and it just took over my life. Like when I was 13, I was like, this is the only thing that I like doing. It became my identity. I was like, I finally had something that I was good at, and it was mine, and I could own it, and I could be like, this is me. And I think that's a really important thing to have as a kid, is to actually, like, you've got kids who can play football. You do, the kids that are like, they know exactly what they want to be from a young age. Some people don't know, and sometimes you don't find out. Sometimes you never find out. But I was very lucky to have that. I think I hit 13 and I was like, right, this is what I want to do. and there's nothing else that's going to stop us. So I just kind of, that was it.
You dug in.
I think, yeah, I think so.
When you started writing and around that age, did you already start looking at the world around you in terms of what you would write?
No, I was looking at, I was like just looking at the girl in school or something and writing horrific songs about her, which will never ever see the light of day, thank God.
Did you play them for her?
No, God no, because I wasn't going out with her. No, that was the point. I couldn't. That's the strife that I was living in, because I wasn't going out with her. So I wrote songs about them. No, I was just a classic, like just teenage angst, wasn't it? Writing about rubbish stuff and just being angry, and then I started writing like angry sort of rock songs, which will never ever see the light of day either, I hope.
So they are recorded somewhere.
They're somewhere. I know someone who's got them. Don't you dare.
But so, when did you see a development in your songwriting? Then was there a turning point?
When I grew up.
For instance, you mentioned your father being a musician and writing songs. Were you always a socially conscious family in a way?
My dad, to some extent, yeah, because my dad's a very working class, fighting for workers' rights sort of kind of. He's the very liberal left-wing family, like fight the power. Like we grew up in the northeast of England, which is like a liberal stronghold, I guess, to some extent. Certain, like, I mean, I guess you get the other end of the spectrum. There's plenty of right-wingers there as well, but like it's a very like industrial area, so there's a lot of work in towns. I mean, granted, like a lot of the industry's gone now because it got destroyed in the 80s. So you were left with a lot of like unemployed, a whole generation of unemployed people. So I suppose like my dad was very, very aware of that and grew up around that. So when we were raised to kind of to hate the government.
It's interesting that you say that, because in Leave Fast there's a line I wrote down, forgotten by our government. Yeah. So is that kind of about that?
Yeah, but a lot of the towns up in the northeast were forgotten by the government, and they're still forgotten by the government always. Don't want to get too political.
No, but so for you, when did those kind of subjects enter your writing? What was it? When did you feel, well, I need to or I want to write a song about this?
I think it's when I had friends. I was lucky because my family, we never ever went under, like when my mom and dad were together. When I lived with my mom, things were a bit different, because and when I moved to a different estate, and me and my mom were kind of like, there was sometimes were quite hard, like financially and things like that, but we always managed to keep our heads above water. But I think I noticed that when I was about 14, 15, I had some friends who really didn't have anything. And I think one of my, like, not doing sob stories, but like I knew some kids who were like, I remember being like, going into my mate's room and being like, I was like, he's got like, you know what I mean? I just remember kind of like seeing kids that were like living definitely below the living standard. I was very lucky to have, like, we always kept our head above water, but I think that's when and then you ask them questions when you're 15, you're like, why is it like that? And I used to go to my mom, like, what's going on? And obviously it kind of all falls back on, it's like, well, it's just a long story, isn't it? You can't explain why, but it's probably to do with the fact that the industry all closed down and things like that, and you're left with like a generation of jobless people who then are jobless all their lives, and then their kids are jobless all their lives, and it becomes this like constant spiral, cycle of jobless families. And I had a couple of friends who lived in that scenario. My parents always worked, and I'm always proud to say that, but like, you know, I think that probably opened my eyes when I was about 14, 15.
Do you remember the initial response when you started putting the music out and singing them in I suppose, pubs?
Sorry?
Do you remember what the response was once you started putting those songs out?
Well, I leave fast and think.
Well, yeah, the first couple of songs that you put out.
Oh, what, Play God?
Well, for instance, because just a general response to the type of songs that you wrote, and then especially among the
well, yeah, because I remember everyone's like, "Oh my God, you're saying," I mean, I'm not really saying anything that original. Like, in my opinion, it's like it's pretty box standard. Like, I'm just talking about what's there. But it is amazing how little of that there is. Like, seems to there not be that much. So, like, there's in our country, in the UK, there's a couple of bands there's a couple of artists that really say things, and I mean, I'm not claiming to be one of them. I aspire to be one of them. But like Idols, have you heard the band Idols? They seem to say quite a bit, and like I think it's good, man. It's good to have a little bit of something to say instead of just being like. I mean, there's nothing wrong. You need pop music. You need music that just makes people dance. You need music that you can have a party to. You need all of that. But I do think you need someone to every so often be like, okay, let's have a party, but also, what's that all about? I don't know.